Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast. My name is Luke Irvin, and today we've got an epic episode lined up for you. But before we jump into that, just want to let you guys know real quick, we've got some brand new merchandise up on our website, including these Thanks for Supporting Local hats and 2 new shirts as well. If you like today's episode, please also leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow our email newsletter. With nothing else to say, let's jump into today's episode.
Well, that is the question, Roger. We're rolling, man. We're rolling. How much of this are we going to consume here at Tempe
let's just
Tavern?
see how fun it gets. Yeah, thank you, Tempe Tavern.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can, those are bought and paid for. And
they look like they're already open. It looked like you guys already, either you opened them for this.
We opened them for this. We took the little plastic seals off of them.
Ready to rock.
Ready to go.
Awesome, dude. We're Roger Clyne from Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. Legendary rock star, man.
Thank you.
Dude, it is an honor to meet you, man. I was telling people earlier, I'm like, I've interviewed a lot of people on these podcasts. I was a little nervous to interview you, man, because you're...
Really?
Yeah, dude, you're a rock star. Literally.
I'm a musician, that's what I'm doing. There's much more, there's much bigger celebrities than I. I'm lucky I have a lot of fun doing it. I'm proud to be from Arizona.
Dude, and you've had quite the career. I mean, from the music to now the tequila. I'm excited to dive into this a little bit,
Thanks.
man.
We mentioned our festival in Mexico and a couple other things, too.
You guys, it does seem like you do a lot of, it's not just touring, it's like there's intention behind things, right?
Yeah, we do events that are curated that we think would be fun. Like, for example, it's sort of both touring and curated event. We do a thing called Arizona Highways, where we go to the smaller towns in this amazing state and play cool little joints, cool honky-tonks, and do them 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Come home and let everybody get their hangovers done, and then do another lap. We call that Arizona Highways, and that's fun. We'll be doing that this fall.
Okay, nice, man. Is it as the years go on? Are you enjoying your own bed at home more and more?
Yes and no.
Okay.
This year, I think. Well, we've actually got a lot of our touring actually under our belt. We started in mid-February. We've already been through Texas, Oklahoma, then towards the southeast, and then the East Coast. We didn't get very far up the East Coast yet. Then we did the Midwest and just got back on, just a few days ago.
Okay.
I'm still kind of hoarse from it. We knocked out a whole bunch of it. I think we'll be touring over 100 days this year.
Okay.
I get to spend a goodly amount of time in my bed, but we're still really active. You have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not a major label deal.
Yeah.
We're not a big deal on Spotify. And the best way to make a connection and to stay an artist is to get to your audience, and so that's what we do. And then they get to us too. They'll travel to Mexico or the Clyne Ranch or whatever.
Yeah.
We've got a few extra nights at home, but we're still road dogs.
Love it, man. I love it. Well, so and you are an Arizona guy, right? Like
born and raised, third generation.
Yeah. What was Roger Clyne the kid like?
Probably just a huge pain in the ass. I didn't talk much. Actually, I was really quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny now. I'm comfy in front of the mic. I don't think I said a word to anybody until I was like 22.
Really?
Yeah. Really shy, quiet person. My parents got a divorce in the 70s, like a lot of kids or people that era. It's just kind of what happened. It was the fabric. Half my life was here, or a lot of my life, probably the majority, was with my mom. She was a school teacher and demanded that I get a good education. She rode me for good grades, made me go to Brophy College Prep, study Latin. When I went crazy at Brophy, I was going nuts. It's a great school. I mean, I learned so much.
You were going nuts because of the school, like the school was just not your jam?
It was very far. Like I would have to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to catch a bus by 5:30 to get there through the city traffic by 7:45 for school to start at 8.
Dang, okay.
And it was crazy. And then getting home was equally as laborious.
Okay.
Got a lot of homework done on the city bus.
Yeah.
Route number 22 for any Brophy Xavier people who were coming from Tempe.
Dude, that needs to be a hashtag route right? Somehow. Yeah.
It was 22. It left from college and university, and then went all the way to Camelback and Central, and took forever in that city traffic. I digress. What kind of a kid was I? I was pretty serious about school. My mom demanded I get an education, and I started digging punk rock. My grandfather and my father, who were ranchers, still are. My grandfather's passed. My dad's running the family ranch down in Sonoita. I grew up on Patsy Cline, Sons of the Pioneers, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, like that kind of stuff, that kind of country. And then ended up really hating it at the time.
Sure,
When I turned,
yeah.
11, 12, 13, became a punk, and I traded in my cowboy boots for a skateboard, and
Okay.
and Johnny Cash for JFA, so to speak. So I was just kind of a punk rock kid with this ag background too. I didn't know it at the time, but I had the best of both worlds. Both my parents made sure that I got the best of what they had to offer. Here I was
Sure.
a city kid, getting the best education. My mother was amazing, amazingly strong mother. Taught me a lot, gave me most of my backbone.
Yeah.
And my dad, the same. I wanted never to get on a horse again.
Okay.
I'd sell my boots. I don't want to ride fence. I don't want to fix pipe. I don't want to sort cattle.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And now actually I relish it, so I'm down there quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I was
And you
sort
enjoy
of
it,
one
probably,
foot,
right? It's like almost-
Converse high top in this world and a
Yeah.
cowboy boot in the other, and somehow I ended up like this.
Yeah, I dig it, man. That's the work ethic, probably, right? There's so much of you can say about work ethic, right? I was telling you, I grew up in Ohio between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And it's super blue collar, right? And that's why I started getting into like craft beer and craft food, really good food, is because you can have a great idea, right? And all of this, but you're going to put the work in,
You
right?
got it. And once you start to succeed a little bit, you're like, oh, this is work, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's great. And there's some comedian who said, what was it? It was the difference between a job and a career. Like, this isn't a job, this is a career.
Yeah.
You never have enough hours in the day because there's always more to do, more to create, more to serve. And so it's pretty cool to get a little bit of success in doing something you love. Then you never really work an hour in your life.
That's true. That's true.
It is labor, but
Yeah.
it's a labor of love.
Yeah. Well, I've heard someone said, I heard the quote, like you work 120 hours a week so that you don't have to work 40 hours a week type of thing, right?
Totally.
Doing what you love to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, so how did things start to catch as far as like becoming a musician?
Musician? Let's see. I was trained a little bit in piano when I was a kid in suburban life,
Okay.
Also in junior high and high school, one of my electives was choir, and so I sort of had a tiny bit of vocal training there, just enough to know that I'm doing it wrong now, right?
Still, now
yeah.
you're just leaning into that.
Yeah, but it didn't really, nothing really caught until, like I said, I went to Brophy for 2 years, then I petitioned my mom. I was like, I'm going crazy here.
Yeah.
I need to get closer to home.
Yeah.
And she said, all right, you can go to McClintock High, but you have to take all AP courses, and you have to get a 4.0. I think it was a 3.8. I got a little slack. So I was like, done. We'll do it.
Yeah.
I did it, and a bunch of the guys whom I played state soccer with, they called it State Select at the time, were going to school there, and a couple of them wanted to put together a band, but they couldn't find a singer. I was like, I was a super shy kid, but I'm like, all right, man, I think I can do that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, we just got together in the garage and started banging stuff around, and I picked up the microphone, and I was the only kid who would do it in high school,
Yeah.
and so we played a couple of parties. That's really where it started, and I found it was super fun.
Yeah.
I couldn't play guitar, and I felt really awkward not having anything in front of me, but a mic stand. I was like, I'm no David Bowie, I can't pull this off. So I borrowed somebody's guitar and basically plugged it in and tied it to the amplifier and pretended to fret chords.
Yeah.
But having that near me, it just it begs you to learn it, right? So
Sure.
I started learning my E chord and then my A chord and then my D chord and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
went from the majors to the minors to the sevenths to the diminished, and lo and behold, in a little while, I was strumming my own chords, or not my own chords, strumming the chords and
Yeah.
putting melodies and lyrics to them, and that's kind of how it started.
That's interesting that you had the guitar just as almost
It was
like
a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sunglasses when you put them on, nobody can see you. So
Yeah,
you're
it was
good, right?
totally like that. I was like, I look like I was like, I'm
Well, was there
faking it.
anybody, any like singers or vocalists that inspired you? Because I've always been
Huge.
intrigued by the vocalist too.
all over the place, man. Like I said, I was kind of a punk rock kid right as soon as I discovered, where was like the soft opening for that? It was probably Sex Pistols.
Okay.
Never mind the Bullocks changed how I heard music.
Okay.
Oh my God, the filth and the fury and power and the passion.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Then went from there to a lot of other British bands. Then kind of slipped into the new wave thing, Psychedelic Furs, Susie and the Banshees. Back to American music like The Violent Femmes, Pretenders.
Yeah.
All those sorts of things were in my snotty repertoire. I loved
Yeah.
all that stuff. One band that I really thought was amazing. I loved early U2 and how socially conscious they were, and they used music as a vehicle for rehumanizing, for social change.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's inspiring stuff. They were the only ones really doing it that I could see at the time. So they were very big influence.
So not so
early
much
on.
as the sound of it, but more of like the purpose behind it.
Yeah,
and
the passion. I actually loved their sound too. I got Boy when I was, I don't know, a boy.
Yeah.
But loved it and just followed them from there. Got to see them play at Arizona or ASU Stadium for Rattle and Hum. I was there at that filming.
Okay.
For $5. It's
Yeah.
like, this is a cool band.
Yeah.
So others were like, then I found Bob Marley and discovered reggae and it as a social tool, a message bearing art form.
Yeah.
Loved that. Still do. You can hear reggae infiltrate our music quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or at least syncopated stuff. And sometimes it's sort of mariachi and sometimes it's flagrantly, raga, reggae.
Yeah.
So I loved Marley, and then realized when I went back to trying to find what I thought was authentic music, that the old stuff that my grandfather and my father used to play in the cab of the Chevy while we were, towing cows, Patsy Cline, Sons of the Pioneers. Who else was it? There's so many, but
Original Hank. I was always like that original Hank's voice. Like
original
always.
Hank.
Yeah.
The Health and Happiness Show. I just was like, this is real. Why did I turn away from it?
Yeah.
So it's all in one giant crazy ball of wax now.
Yeah. I feel like we go through, at least, I don't know, I feel like I've gone through evolutions of my music of, I grew up in the, 80s, early 90s. I graduated in 1997 from high school. So, like, all the pop stuff, like and stuff like that. I was like, I don't like that. I like Pantera, dude. I like Pantera and Run DMC and all this. Now I look back, I'm like, I love that stuff, right?
Me too.
Yeah, yeah.
I was, I'm genre agnostic now. I don't care. I just hear music, I'll love the music.
Yeah.
But back in the day, and I don't think kids do this anymore. And when I say kids, it's people who love music, who are younger than I am, which is most people.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't stake their identity on what kind of music they're listening to. Because I was the guy who was like, I don't listen to country, I listen to punk rock.
Yeah.
And like, your aha isn't as cool as my psychedelic first, and I isolated myself with that.
Yeah.
And I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I'd have been more open. And I think now today's listeners listen to so much more stuff.
Yeah.
Like my kids, they'll turn me on to music, and I'm like, oh my God. I would never have picked that up, and they did. They give me great sort of, insight into what they think is quality, and a lot of times I really dig it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that, being the son of a musician, a kid of a musician, they've been exposed to all kinds of different music.
Yeah.
So
And they have. They grew up in a pretty musical household.
So, all right. So you front this band, you said in college, or was it high school?
High school first. Yeah. And then college.
Yeah.
And then out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when did it start to become like, you're like, holy shit, this
caused
is
a major problem between me and my mom.
Okay. Which is usually, there's a lot. I read the Dave Grohl book. I don't know if you've read his new book.
I haven't.
Well, I would say new. It came out maybe 2 years ago. The audio book version is really good because it's him. He's narrating it, right?
Oh, cool.
And his mom was a very well-respected teacher, and I think they lived in Virginia or something like that. So he's like, when I told my mom I was dropping out, he's like, that was one of the worst things I had to do.
Yeah, Dave, I understand. It was same thing.
Yeah.
I went from the high school bands to the college bands, and I'm really lucky that social media wasn't around then because my band sucked. Maybe, I don't know. We were drawn, but like all the experimental stuff that we were doing, I'm really glad that it wasn't memorialized on social media and YouTube now.
Yeah.
You can't take that. You can't put that genie back in.
Yeah.
So I got to cut my teeth here in college at Long Wong's, Etzel's Attic, the notorious Sun Club, all these places around here. The Rock, which is still the Rock in Tucson. I think we got to play at the Rialto a couple of times. We were a small band.
Nice.
Anyway, the Refreshments formed out of a band called the Mortals, and started really taking off in the college scene.
Okay.
And I remember just feeling like I'm really going for a ride. All the houses were filling up, or all the clubs were filling up, whether it was a Monday or a Saturday night, didn't matter. I got to quit my waiter job. I was a terrible waiter.
Yeah.
It was good. And just make a living, on music, and started writing original stuff, and people were responding to it. And that's the stuff you can still hear now. That's Fizzy Fuzzy Biggie Buzzy, pardon me, and Bottle and Fresh Horses. And there came a time when it was time to graduate. I was sort of dragging my feet in college because it was supplying me with the comfort zone and the excuse to run this music career in parallel with my college career.
Yeah.
But my counselor was like, "You're out. You can't take any more classes." So I applied for
I mean,
grad
you were
school.
ineligible, like your
Yeah,
grades
he's like, "You
dropped
can't
below.
take any more."
Yeah.
You know. I found a loophole, and my advocate in the psychology department here, Professor Sadala, let me take graduate classes here on I can't remember, there's some program. So I was taking a couple of those while I applied for grad school. It's just still sort of stalling.
Yeah.
I got accepted, unfortunately, to California State University in Long Beach in environmental psychology, experimental design. That's what I was doing. It sounds weird. Like,
I was like,
environmental
what is that?
experimental design is when you create and evaluate statistical methods of measuring things.
Okay.
So experimental design is about putting together a good, valid experiment, internally valid, externally valid, getting all your variables straight, making sure that your findings can really tell a story and they're not questionable.
Okay.
It's really high geekery, and it's awesome. I loved it.
I could see in your face, like you're
I
like.
loved it. I loved working with stats and making up experiments to measure things.
Yeah.
You know, or see what correlation actually existed.
So,
Anyways,
so real quick, just to clarify, so it's like you can have this crazy idea, but then on the other side of it's like, I'm going to prove it, right?
Yeah.
Like, or disprove it.
Yeah,
right?
you test it.
Yeah.
And you see what happens.
Yeah.
You try to go in without bias.
Because anybody can say anything about, I think this is my theory. Oh, yeah, prove it. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
there's my
Right?
hypothesis. Test it.
Yeah.
And then test it again.
Yeah.
And then test it again. So I got accepted to the School of Environmental Psychology at CSULB, and my band was taken off. The refreshments were packing houses, and we had got accepted to South by Southwest 1994 or 5. I don't even know. 5, I think. We were invited we were being courted by record companies, and we were at an ASCAP showcase, and we got like the big mention. It was a kind of a buzz there.
Yeah.
We went and played a showcase, and we had to follow the presidents of the United States, which was tough because they burned the place down. I mean, they were so good. And we had to follow them.
That was at their peak, like Peaches.
That was
and
before,
all.
Peaches. And that was before they got on a record label. So that performance and that's what got them that. We were basically signed at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story longer, I had a record contract and was also supposed to go to CSULB. Yeah. And I remember making the choice and telling my mom, and it was a few days of conversation, and she was definitely thinking. At first, this is heresy. You know, you're going to be in education. You're going to go get a PhD. You know, you're going to get tenure. This is crazy of you to go, hang out with people in bars.
Yeah.
And
yell at them.
Yell at them. Yeah. But I did a lot of soul searching, and I came back and I said, I'm going that direction. I love you. And she's like, you know what? If anything, the overriding message I want you to carry away from my teaching you is that you have to follow your dreams. She was like, if you're going to be happy, I'm happy. And so that was a nice way for her to let me go.
Yeah.
My dad was the same. He's like, yeah, man, go get after it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's awesome to have that support. Right?
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a big leap. There's you see the net, you take the jump and the net appears.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I've always thought, growing up in a steel city, and people it's like, this is the job you got. This is what you do. Don't jump. There's no net, right? Or find a really big net before you jump. And I'm starting to realize the more I talk to people who are doing really cool things and creating cool stuff, they jump and they figure it out.
You have to take the leap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Burn the boats, right? When you get to the shore, we're not going back.
Exactly. When I quit my job in 2018 to kind of do all this full time, and I look back now and I'm like, I think my boats were on fire when I hit the beach, right?
Yeah.
I think I ignited them.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
I had to read a lot of books about, almost like self-help in making it an entrepreneurial endeavor, right?
Yeah.
Or something artistic. It was super risky, and I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
A lot of people will give you a lot of good advice.
How did you? I mean, I want to ask how you did it, because that's not a quick answer. But I mean, through the years, what do you think are a couple things that you've consistently done to help you still do what you do?
Count your blessings is one thing. If you're doing what you love, if you've experienced fatigue, burnout, just take a step back, but count your blessings. You're doing what you pursued.
Yeah.
You're living your dream, really. I mean, I get to hear that from a lot of fans and friends, man. You're living the dream.
Yeah.
And sometimes you forget it.
Sure.
Like
When you
it's
get
another
your ass
hotel
kicked.
room or
Yeah.
Cedar Rapids on a Tuesday, Sorry, Cedar Rapids. We love you.
Cedar Rapids is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, we do love Cedar Rapids.
But it's got to be a grind. I was talking with your wife Elisa before that.
You can feel like it is, and you just have to step back. So one, count your blessings. Two, respect everybody. We're a really well-mannered band, so we come in. We don't trash backstage rooms. We do some rock and roll shit. But like we leave the place as good or better than we found it.
Yeah.
Never get too pretentious, even if we're greeted with the jadedness that is in a lot of these clubs and theaters. Because they see a lot of bands come through who are prima donnas, and fans mistreat them and stuff like that. But our fans are great, and our band is gracious, and so we try to be that. I'm kind of a control freak, and I like to know how to do pretty much everything.
Okay.
From back in the day, from driving the van to doing the spreadsheets on the tour net versus gross, hiring, firing, know how to change a tire, like everything that comes along with being on the road.
Yeah.
Now, if you lose a guy or a girl, for whatever reason, whether it's a kerfuffle or whether it's just time to go your own way, you know how to do it.
Sure.
It's just you should know everybody's skill set. Like, I can't play guitar like Jim can.
Yeah.
I'll never be able to play the drums like P. Or the bass like Nick. And so I'm not really talking so much about trying to overlap your co-creators, but all the support stuff I like to know how to do.
Yeah.
If my agent is being a little bit sluggish, I can get on the phone and why don't we call that place in Nashville? You can't find us a booking in Nashville? Alex, hold on. I got this. I got a guy. I can call and do that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
But,
Well, I think it would help.
Fix generators and replace batteries and driven 800 miles myself. You just got to know how to do it to help the whole crew.
Sure, and willingness, like you said, right, because you could sit back and be like, why aren't they getting us any gigs? Why?
Yeah.
All right.
You'll get that
this.
frustrated. Everybody gets a little myopic at times. Get burned
Yeah.
out. Why aren't you doing your job? Well, you know what? I can do your job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've had a few tour managers walk off, and it's like, well, we'll get through. We'll get through the tour.
Yeah.
So, and that, I guess, is sort of leading from the front, knowing, not asking anybody to do anything you wouldn't do yourself. It's count in merch, count out merch, clean the backstage room after whatever. We don't really do that, but you know what I mean? Just kind of everything. So like I said, it's a little bit control freakish, but it gives everybody an extra man and an extra hand and some redundancy. And
Sure.
So we all kind of can do that. PH is really good at everything. He's the same way. He's the drummer in this band, and he came with me from the Refreshments. And so when we broke from our major label and went independent, we found ourselves we got to learn to do a lot of stuff on a very, very small budget.
Well, you've been independent ever since. Was there 2 Refreshments albums?
There were 2 Refreshments records.
Yeah.
Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy came out, I believe, in '96.
That's the one with.
That's one everybody knows.
Yeah.
That's one where we had MTV singles and things like that.
Was that
the next
surreal?
one? Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah.
I remember sitting. There was a thing called 120 Minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Pinfield. And I remember sitting in front of him going, I want to pinch myself. It was so weird because I loved that show.
Yeah.
We brought all these, underground bands out, and here we are. We're I don't know if we were underground, but we were just starting to get momentum, But we were cool and underground and punk enough for him because he had real integrity,
Yeah.
He knew a lot about the history of rock and roll and specifically punk rock and roll.
Yeah.
I loved that guy. When he invited us on, I was freaking. We did the Conan O'Brien show in the Refreshments and played way too fast. We had a 4-minute and 30-second single, and I think we were allotted. This is out there. You can look it up, because you can find it.
Yeah.
I'm just this baby playing on the Conan O'Brien show, but we wanted to get the whole song in. Conan's like, no, we'll just fade you out. So PH and I were like, no, man, how about this? Find the BPM, find the beats per minute that we got to play to get 4 minutes and 27 seconds into 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And that's what you see in here. And so he figured it out. He's like, all right, so 161. Like, hit it.
Yeah.
So we played the song way too fast, and it was super fun.
So people on YouTube, if they find it, they're probably going to think that, because you can speed up and slow music, so like YouTube's algorithm won't take it off. But that's the real speed that you guys
That's the real
played.
speed. That's spazzing out. But like I said, I came from a punk rock background, and PH and PH's like, I got this. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
So he put the BPM in his ear. It was like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just went for it.
Yeah.
It was fun. So it was a great ride. The next record was Bottle of Fresh Horses by the Refreshments, and it was gonna get a real big push, but Universal bought Mercury. Actually, it wasn't even Universal yet. I can't remember who bought it, and basically cleared out the floor, meaning they fired everybody who was we had history with, who knew the band, who had our connections to radio, because radio was important. Connections to retail, they were all gone. We kept our spot on the roster, but we certainly took a back seat. They pushed a few other bands. I can't even remember who they are.
Yeah.
But they pushed. They had their big year, and we weren't in the top 6.
Okay.
So we were just going to take a ride, and if it hit, it hit. But they weren't going to put anything behind it. Canceled our European tour, Australian tour, Japanese tour. It was really disheartening.
This is the second album.
Yeah, second album. Didn't let us pick our single. They picked it for us, which was not even supposed to be on the record. It was a B-side. Yeah. Anyway, one thing led to another, and when you don't have enemies, but you don't have friends, and so long story longer, we just ended up. The vote was split in the Refreshments, but PH and I were like, I don't want to play it like this. I don't want to keep going after singles. Yeah. Because that's essentially was the message. If you guys can succeed with a single, we'll throw some money behind you. I'm like, but don't we need to market it? Can't you help us get it there? Yeah. And we didn't get to pick our single. Wanted was supposed to be our single. We didn't get to do it. It was really disheartening. And the band broke up. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. Because I love my band now. I didn't dislike that band. It was a lot of fun.
Well, it sounds like it was just kind of stars aligned and like just, I mean.
No, they all fell from the sky. It was a total disaster. Yeah, it was a total disaster. PH and I looked at each other and went, what the f*** are we going to do? Yeah. And he's like, we got ourselves into this, man. We can get ourselves out. It's just, you write songs. We're going to take it to the bars. Started playing as a duo, Long Wongs again, Yucca Tap Room, little places. Yeah. Found some other players who were not out of work, but who would sit and jam. We didn't actually have a lineup for over a year. We got Steve Larson from Dead Hot Workshop to sit in with us. We got Scotty Johnson from Gin Blossoms. Yeah. Daryl Eichard was in, Major Lingo. Just all these guys who were great. And our friends are like, we'll sit in, we'll learn your songs. Yeah. Little by little, the club started filling back up, and it was tons of fun. Yeah. Bought ourselves a van, started doing regional tours again, just built it from the ashes back up.
I dig it, man. I dig it. Well, let's take a break real quick.
10-4.
And then we're going to try some tequilas.
Love it.
Real quick message for you guys. If you guys are enjoying today's episode, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our email newsletter for all of the cool spots to eat and drink around town, as well as upcoming events and fun stuff like that. Now back to the podcast.
Cheers, man. Cheers. Once again, Roger Clyne. It's really cool hearing the stories of the growth of the music career. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the King of the Hill theme song.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
How does that happen?
That was we were just really lucky. Yeah. How did that happen? It was when the Refreshments were on Mercury. Okay. So we're on a major label. What Fox did, Fox Animation, sent out a casting call to the major labels asking their artists to submit, and then they gave about a paragraph of a description. Submit a 30-second song with lyrics they wanted regarding this pencil test, which was on VHS. Okay. A Texas family in the throes of raising children in a, less than ethical world or something. Yeah. I can't remember what it was. Yeah. And so we got our copy from our management company. Management sent it to me, a guy named Michael, still a good friend of mine. And he's like, I want you to watch this, and I want you to give it a shot. So I watched this video. It's 30 seconds long. I wish I still had it.
Is it animation? Is it?
Yeah, it's Bobby, Peggy, Hank. They just all come in. Okay. And it's basically the intro, but it's all in black and white and super messy. Yeah. And there's no plot at all. And so I was just flummoxed. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, okay, I'll stick that in the glove compartment of the van. We're on tour. And Michael called me about a week later. He's like, so what do you got? You come up with anything? And I'm like, no, I don't know what to write. And he's like, quit being a fucking princess, man. He's like, do you know who's writing for this? He's like, Fountains of Wayne, Danny Elfman. He named off a bunch of these guys. I'm like, well, that's demotivating. Like, those guys, they kill it every time. And he's like, just do something. Yeah. All right. So we're on break in Chicago at PH's house. He had a family house there, and we were at his little rehearsal studio. And I was downstairs banging around on that riff. Yeah. It's really basic. It's not technically very difficult. and I made it go A, B, A, like it's got its sections. Stops at that note, and then finishes. Anyway, it got it all put together. He came down. He's like, "That thing's really cool." He's like, He goes, "I need a little B section. Let's interrupt it with that syncopated beat." He does does that. Added that to it. Timed it out. It was like 30 seconds. He goes, "Cool. You're just gonna write some lyrics." I'm like, "I don't know these people. I don't." He's like, "All right, well." Cool. And so he and I banged that out.
Yeah.
Showed it to the band. Brian didn't like it at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. He'll cop to it, but he's like, I hate that kind of shit. When I showed it to him, I hate that kind of shit. I don't know why. But anyway, we ended up being in Wichita on tour. Michael, my manager, called me again. He's like, you need to submit something. It needs to be in the mail tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
All right. So we're in Wichita, and at the end of the show, we had the plan I was going to coach the crowd. So we're going to play this, and I did, on the mic. Great show. Thanks, everybody. We are going to play a 30-second song that we're going to submit to Fox Animation. It's going to be made by Mike Judge, and hopefully we can get it on the show. So cheer like it's the coolest thing you ever heard.
Yeah.
We play the song. Sound man takes out the tape. Manager sends it in the next day. Fast forward about a week. I remember I was in Philadelphia. Michael, manager, calls me. I'm in a hotel, which was not always. It was kind of luxurious to get a hotel. You don't always get a hotel on the road.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of alternate who gets a hotel tonight. You spend a lot of time in your bunk. But he called, and I had the hotel. Phone rings. He's like, I'm going to put you on a conference call. And then, like, hold, click. Then on come these other voices. And it was Joe Boucher, who's one of the producers, Greg Daniels, Mike Judge, and Michael, my manager.
Yeah.
This is Roger Clyne? I said, yeah. What's going on? Like, who do you think you are? You're like, this is Hollywood. This is the entertainment capital of the world. I'm Mike Judge. I did frog baseball. You know, like I was getting reamed by these guys.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are to try to coach a crowd and like get this through to Hollywood? Like, what? That's not how we do it, son. And I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I kind of wanted to say I'm sorry, but I was too scared. And they started laughing. There was this pause. They started laughing. I wish I had that tape of them doing that.
Dude.
They started laughing. Like, no, it's the right spirit, the right thing at the right time. We want you to come to Hollywood and record it.
Wow.
So that's how we were told that it was accepted. And they really liked the fact that we forgot to cut the leader. They heard me coach the crowd all the way through. So that's what they were that's what they were busting me about.
It seems like a very King of the Hill thing, though, right? Like that would be...
Maybe,
like,
that was the sort of the sense of humor it is. Yeah. Anyway, but I felt my feet go cold. I was like, oh, shit, which bigwigs have I offended for what, you know?
What a range of emotion, right? You're getting chastised by these legendary people, and then you, like, they wanted you to, like, that's like opposite sides.
They did great.
Spectrum.
They were punking me. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, is this real? Is this really happening?
That's
like,
really
yes,
cool.
We love it.
Yeah.
So they got Pete Anderson, who's Dwight Yoakam's guitarist at the time, to produce it. And so that really gritty signature sound was him on the board.
Nice. Well, should we start tasting this tequila?
I think that's a good idea.
So I think you're pouring for us, right? I think
I'd be happy to.
You're the designated pourer.
Look out.
So, and I don't mean to jump so forward, right, to the beginning of Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers, but that's what you were talking about as you guys started playing local shows again, you know, here in the Valley, right?
In the Valley after the Refreshments broke up and. We kind of went our separate ways. PH and I went our way and just went, let's take the songs that are working. I had a whole bunch of new ones. And we didn't want to give them away to a label because they were just going to use this as a single factory again. Yeah. And so we're like, let's make a record. Let's make a good record. And let's make it, with roots and focus on Arizona again. And so that's what we did. We actually went as a sort of we're younger men then as a sort of a vision quest almost. We put on backpacks and walked around a mountain range in the desert out by the Clyne Ranch. Okay. Yeah, we were supposed to get out for the figurative, not literal, but 40 days, right? Yeah. And go find yourself in the desert, but it was way too hot. I think we made it like 10, 12 days. Oh,
that's still impressive. I got like 3 hours.
We got to a little town at the north end of this mountain range. It's called Benson. It's in Arizona. we're gonna refuel and get more food, and then go follow the San Pedro, and then break off towards Tombstone.
Okay.
Just walk through the desert that way.
Yeah.
But it was June, and there was no water. We asked the locals, we're like, "Is there any place where it's coming up?" And like, "No, not in June. Right. You're gonna die out there." Yeah. So we gave it some thought, and we went to the bar. There was a cool bar there, and it's closed. And after a couple beers, and like, let's call my dad and see if he can pick us up, because the ranch is only like 40 miles away. Anyway, that's what we did. But that was our sort of our crucible, to make sure that we really were going to do this. Go out, really think about it, talk to each other, travel through the desert. And it was a unanimous yes from both of us. It was great.
Were you considering a plan B at that point? No, because it was still gung ho.
Thank God. There was no plan B, and plan A had already worked, and it was so much fun that there was only plan A.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we're doing. We're musicians. He kissed by medical school. He was in biology program. He was going to go to med school. And that's another conversation you should have with he and his father when he's like, "Dad, I'm going to drum." That went real well.
Yeah.
But no, we had already burned the boats, like we said before.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, so what are we going to try first?
We're going to try Canción. This is our silver. We call it Blanco, which is unaged. This goes straight from the distillation process out of the stainless steel straight to the glass.
Okay.
So it's the essence of these other things, and it comes from all these do actually come from the valley agaves, which are mature agaves.
Okay.
And they have a certain flavor profile. For this, we try to keep it very tequila-y.
Yeah.
It's not hot, as they say. It will give you a full tequila flavor, but it won't like give that big poppy, face melting burn.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good sipper. It's a great mixer.
Is that what she made our margaritas with?
Yeah.
I would assume. Yeah.
When it gets to the nuances of these other ones, I don't really recommend. I don't tell people how to drink their liquor, of course, but I find that these things get lost in mixes, like the really good nuances of the reposado, the añejo, and the extra añejo get sort of washed out when you put mixes and salt and all that stuff.
Okay.
This is meant to sip, not slam.
Cheers. Well, I got change
get
plans.
some- It's gonna be it'll smolder, not burn, and you'll find that it's made for sipping.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good, because it's a lot of times you have tequila straight up like this, and it's like. I like the taste of it, but it's burn going down. But that is
Good.
smooth.
Good,
Where did this come into the mix of
Into the
making?
mix? It's a long story. I think we've been a brand now coming up. I think we're entering our 11th year. I think we're a decade plus old.
Okay.
It began when the Refreshments would play these clubs, and then nationwide we were hearing like we had the highest tequila sales at any given club that we had because tequila sort of played a character in our catalog. There's a song called Nada. There's a lot of tunes about the desert, or specifically Mexico.
Yeah.
So people naturally gravitated towards it. There was a time in I don't even remember where it was. It was actually Peacemaker's time when I was approached by a guy from Casa Noble is it's a brand from Mexico, from tequila. It's a tequila brand from tequila. A guy, I think he's still in the business, David Rivandi, approached us, and he was doing his research, and he said, I found the same thing. You guys sell more tequila per date and per capita than any other band, even like not more tequila than Sammy Hagar, but per person.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you feel about this spirit? And of course we loved it. And it was it's our spirit.
It's nature's Red Bull,
right?
I call it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, well, we'd like you to endorse the brand. We'd like you to get in and endorse a Casa Noble brand and sign on. And it was interesting, but the deal was less about making our own stuff. It's just sort of being a figurehead for somebody else.
Sure.
And we're stupid and stubborn. So we opted not to. It was a really nice idea, but I'm like, what happens if we don't get it done like you want? And he's like, well, we just end the program. I'm like, we don't want to do that. It's going to be too much fun. Started little by little, just started kind of thinking about it, and we found a consultant or two. Had some friends in the restaurant business, and they were like, we'll go down and research the idea of getting a distillery to do a private label. And a couple, 2-3 years fast forward, and we had a great distillery, the one we're still with, La Fábrica de los Tequilas Finos. And Arturo Fuentes was our master distiller who sat with me personally and helped me formulate what I wanted for each one of these. So these aren't exactly what my idea was for the first time, like what I wanted. For example, Arturo Fuentes course corrected me in ways like taught me more nuances about tasting. He's like, okay, your reposado that you like is very good, but it's too sweet. We need to, if I were you, I would do it as such. I would make it a little brighter, a little hotter, a little more viscous, bring the sweet down, and taste more of the barrel.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I had to accede to that I didn't want to do was to age in American oak barrels. These were bourbon barrels that they were aging in. It was a new thing. And I thought, if we're going to be a gringo brand, I want to adhere to as much integrity, Mexican integrity as we can. I want to honor that because I realize we're visitors and I don't want to be an imposter. And he's like, your family, you're with us. Please trust me on this. They brought in their bourbon barrels, and we went back down to Tequila. It's a little village, magic little village in Mexico, and tasted his version of what I had articulated, and it was elegant, and it became our first, which is this one.
So you don't want to do the oak? You don't want to do the oak barrels?
I didn't. There were other woods that they were using, Mexico was using specifically, that weren't American bourbon barrels.
Okay.
And he said, dude, this is the future.
Yeah.
And I was like, but isn't it sort of heresy? And he's like, no, it's not. It's just creativity.
Yeah.
So I said, of course, Maestro, take the lead. And that's what he did. And I was like, wow. He actually created sort of different iterations of this. And then I got to choose which one I liked the best. You sit in a tasting room with these things. You have to eat first. They're saltine crackers. It's this, a real tasting thing.
Yeah.
You find what features, what aspects, what nuances you like of each particular mark that they're offering you. And then you tell them, they take notes, and they say, okay, we're going to redo the formulation, come back in 9 months, right? Because it takes that long to redo this, mix it with the way you want it, and then put it in the barrel and get it right. But they're total artists, and we would come back and they nailed it every time.
Yeah.
And that's now through QC. They're all quality control. They're always the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so and on the back here it says formerly the Mexican Moonshine Tequila.
Yeah.
So was it that when you launched it, that was the brand name?
It was called Mexican Moonshine. We named it after a song on the Peacemakers record called Americano, and it was a double entendre. I certainly didn't pen it to name a tequila that.
Sure.
It was about a double entendre about the magic of the buzz, right? Of being free in the moonshine, and also about having some tequila with you too. So it was both of those. And we named it Mexican Moonshine, and this is long before moonshines actually entered the American market.
Okay.
So when we were called originally Mexican Moonshine, we didn't have any trouble with people mistaking us for, not to give other brands headlines, but like Old Smoky.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of moonshines. We can find them here.
Yep.
And there wasn't a show called Moonshiners.
Yeah.
And as those things proliferated the American market, we became... there was an ambiguation, like people couldn't figure out what Mexican Moonshine was anymore, especially the newer customers. We were such a small brand, we were looking for anybody who would, not anybody, but for the right people who would like it for the tequila itself.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get people to try Mexican Moonshine because they thought it was moonshine. So we were losing the elevator pitch all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a, in marketing or in branding, it's a cardinal sin to change your brand name and change horses in the middle of the stream.
Yeah.
But we all looked at each other and went, "We can't. This is untenable. This ship is going to sink if we keep getting confused with moonshine." So we picked the word song itself, canción, and on the label, I don't know if viewers can see it. Right here is the staff, musical staff. That is that's the melody, the original melody to Mexican Moonshine.
Okay.
So Mexican Moonshine is still on there as an homage.
Yeah, I did, and it's one of those things. I'm starting to learn more about like the marketing side of it. There's marketing theory, and then there's like application of marketing. Right?
Yeah,
I went
then
to school
there's
for
marketing practice.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they say you confuse, you lose. Clever is never a good thing, right? Yeah. Just
confuse, you lose.
Yeah.
And we were
clever.
confusing people, and it came out after, that confusion came out and enveloped us after we named it. And we were putting right along. I loved the kitschiness and the honesty of the name, and I still do miss it a bit, but Canción, breaking free of that that confusion has been a very good thing for us.
I like it. I like Canción. I like
you.
that as a name for sure.
Appreciate that.
So you said the distillery it's the same one from the beginning, right?
Yep, La Fábrica de los Tequilas Finos. It's like a mouthful.
I like that, dude.
Yeah.
That's I couldn't say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great distillery. They are now 85% solar powered.
I saw that.
Yeah,
That's awesome,
amazing.
man.
They started I think they were about 20 and then they moved to 40. Now they're 85. They're very dedicated. And they have a process by which they take the byproducts, the fusel oils, aldehydes, methanols, ketones that are always in the effluent of distillation.
Yeah.
And they break them down through a solar and mechanical process and reduce that what otherwise that effluent would be a chemical pollutant. They reduce it to clean water, which they return to the table, and compost, and they put it back on the fields, and it's no longer toxic. So it's a cool little thing that brought me to them. They were the Commerce with Conscience. They were already doing that, and that was one of the things it helped me select that particular distillery.
That's really cool.
Because
it's reading about it on the website. That seems like it's a very important part of the whole brand for you.
It is. It's very important. Commerce with Conscience is very important, and there's a real problem down there with the vinazas, which is the pollutants. You know?
Okay.
And a lot of the big guys, it's not against the law, so they just do it. But I think, like you were talking about, how do you do it? You lead from the front. You lead by example.
Sure.
And we are hoping that story getting out will create an edge, so that people go, I'm gonna buy Canción because I know it's not harmful to the environment or the people. Anyway, that was that.
That's an interesting point too, because tequila is super popular now. There's so many people are making it that to do it in a respectful way and in a responsible way.
Oh, man, tequilas now. Almost every one of them, it seems like, is a celebrity-led tequila, and they're a dime a dozen, and they come out and they get everybody's hopes up, and then they fail. No, a lot of them succeed, and a lot of them are quite quality. I don't want to throw everybody under the bus. But we found ourselves also, and this is marketing, we found ourselves being identified as a celebrity tequila. And I'm not saying we're not, but we're founded by a rock and roll band, and it wasn't supposed to be just like, that wasn't our lead, but it was definitely on our label. Yeah. And we thought about it, and we decided to move after we changed the name from Mexican Moonshine to Canción. We took my name, instead of being like, here's another celebrity tequila, like we want to sell this because we believe in it. We love to share it, so we moved it to the back, and the people who know us and know our brand already know it's there, and they're already, I don't want to say captured, but they're at least aware, and oftentimes really loyal. So this was an experiment to see if taking that celebrity tip of the spear that I'm lumping myself in. There was almost a gimmick, right? It became a gimmick.
Okay, yeah.
Michael Jordan and Jonas and everybody, the Gerber guy and George Clooney and everybody has their tequila now. Like, let's just make it tequila. Like, just put my name, small place on the back. Yeah. So that's another experiment, experimental design. We'll see if
you have some data that you're running.
That independent variable, the change of that independent variable affects the dependent variable, which would be sales, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, we wanted to keep it with as much integrity as we could, because there were people in Mexico with private labels. You could just hear sort of in the tequila community, and I only know the tequila community because I've been invited. Yeah. But people just roll their eyes when there's going to be another celebrity tequila, because they're going to work really hard, get all their hopes really high, and then, if it doesn't work, that millionaire's got no skin in the game. Yeah, yeah. Well, it was almost kind of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the initial offer that you guys had to back the other tequila. Yeah, the Casa Noble. Yeah, where it seems like you get that. I'm gonna say that's what that was or could have been, right? But. Sorry, I was playing footsie with you. He was kicking me. He was like, "Don't say that." No. But you guys taking the route that you did, it shows intention, and it shows like that. You're like, if we're going to do something, let's do something. Yeah, we like to be co-creators, right? Yeah, they just didn't have the bandwidth for it then. I don't know if they do. Casa Noble is a great tequila. Believe me, it was sort of heartbreaking to not be able to, do something with them. But we sure learned a lot, and Ravandi was cool. Should we try the next one? Yeah, you want to pour another? Yeah. Did you finish up your first? I did. Am I going too fast? No, not at all. I'm going to sit mine down too. All right. So this is reposada. So what is exactly reposada? The word literally means rested. Okay. So it's rested in those barrels that we were talking about. I should show you some pictures of our barrels. They're really cool. It's rested for 9 months, and that is both art and science. So when I say más o menos, like more or less, 9 months.
Okay.
It picks up the qualities of the bourbon in the barrels and becomes a little bit mellower. I think it becomes a little bit brighter, tiny bit sweeter, a little bit more viscous.
What does viscous mean?
Viscous means a tiny bit of thickness on the tongue and on the palate, and you can feel it go down too.
Gotcha.
And I love it. And one of the things that Arturo was super happy about is when he made this reposado, he always wants his ladies to have legs.
Okay.
So he would put it in the tasters and say, look, my lady's got legs. So it had its legs, and that was
What is that? What am I looking for?
very good sign. You'll see it just sort of drip down because it's got a natural
Oh, okay.
viscosity.
Yeah.
There's nothing added to this. This is just tequila and time. There's no color.
Yeah.
There's no anything. It sits in the bourbon barrel and turns into this, you know. Reposado, I know I'm not supposed to have a favorite of my children, right? Love you all. But Reposado was our first, and it's my favorite. It's my desert island tequila. If I had one, it would be Canción Reposado.
That's good, man.
And
that's really good.
It was Arturo who encouraged me to make Reposado first.
Okay.
And he said the reason why is it's harder to get right than just your Blanco, and you got to get the Blanco right, and it will become Reposado. But if you can get your Reposado right, you can get everything else right.
Okay.
It's because we got to get this right first, and then if you can get your aging and all your nuances and your flavors together, then on down the line as they age more, he's like, it's a wonderful experience.
So these are your foundations. Like these are your core essentials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is our purest. This is 9 months in the bourbon barrel. This is 18, and this is 36.
Okay, gotcha. That's what's interesting too. Is it's all
you can see them get darker on the
yeah.
camera. You can see them get a little bit darker. So, like I said, this is both art and science. It's más o menos. It's 9 months, but they check it. They go in with these cool things, and they pour them out, and they look at the color, and they smell and taste. And if it passes that, then they go to essentially a chemical analysis to make sure that it's within parameters that's going to be represented as essentially the same.
Yeah.
So they start tasting around 8 months, and it can go a little further than 9, but typically it's 9. It's not like to the day or the hour, but it's más o menos.
That's what's
aces.
Interesting too is so beer, like craft beer is like that's my background, right? And that's what I know.
You're busy then, because there's a lot of them out there.
There's a lot. There's like 110 in Arizona alone. Yeah, I'd say 60 to 70 of them are here in the valley.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
We have a performance rider when we go out on the road, and one of our things on there is local craft beers, selection of local craft beers. So we get to taste them all over the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's some really, really good stuff out there.
Well, it's a recipe, right? Not saying this is a recipe also, but like beer is like, okay, you get water profile where you need it to be, add this amount of hops, this amount of grain, and this and that, and then at a certain time it's ready. Where it seems like this in consistency, right? You have to have consistency.
Absolutely.
So with something like this, it seems like it's more up to the spirit itself. Like it's going to tell you when it's ready, right?
Yep.
And then how do you do that and keep it consistent, right?
And that's where the guys at La Fabrica come in.
Yeah.
they know how to do it.
That's
I can't
impressive.
fly that. I'd love to have that be my job. It'd be awesome. Like just sit there and taste tequila and be like, it's not ready. I'll be back tomorrow.
Probably why it's not our job, right?
I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway, enjoy this. It took a little time to breathe.
I've been sipping on it the whole time. I don't know if I was supposed
Give
to.
Give it its nose. It's going to be elegant all the way down. I love this stuff. In our distillation process, this is all double distilled and triple filtered. So it's distilled twice and filtered each time afterwards. So, and they remove, like I said, fusel oils, aldehydes, methanols, ketones. By and large, those are the things that create awful hangovers. And they're not completely absent, but vastly reduced in Canción, and so that process makes it a much cleaner liquor. And I'm not saying you won't get a hangover if you overserve yourself.
This whole thing, you get a hangover.
But the damaging effects are far mitigated by that process, and so we take the time to make it the very best it can be. Yeah. Everything from growing the agaves to the way we do our glass, the way we selected a distillery that did commerce with conscience, and how we age, and all of the above, how we age and distill. Anyway, I hope you will try Canción and come to a show.
It's fantastic, yes. Let's take another quick break here before we go into the other one.
Real quick message for you guys. If you guys are enjoying today's episode, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our email newsletter for all of the cool spots to eat and drink around town, as well as upcoming events and fun stuff like that. Now back to the podcast.
All right, we're back. Roger re-upped on the margarita.
I did.
Nice work, man.
Thank
nice
you.
work.
I have a designated driver. Good shape.
You do. Well, shout out to your wife, Elisa.
Yeah, Elisa. It's truly a family-owned thing. Elisa's runs it. She's our CEO, international tequila brand aficionado. Not aficionado. What do they call it? Impresario. I guess maybe it's impresaria.
Impresaria. Is that right?
Yeah. It's a labor of love. She kicks butt. Yeah, it's still family-owned and still actually owned by the band. And we're just going to keep the good stuff coming.
Love it, man.
In spite of all the new brands and the stiff competition, it's a labor of love, like we were talking about before.
Dude, so far so good. This one was fantastic.
Thank you.
You were talking about the sweetness. Like it was more kind of in the aroma to me. There was a little bit of vanilla to it.
Bingo. Nice.
Yeah. But I know some things sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
But in the taste, it wasn't. It wasn't like, sometimes you get stuff that's like, wow, that's a lot of vanilla. But it was a perfect balance, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This has won 3 World Spirits contests in both
nice.
gold and silver labels, or medals, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're super proud of it.
So what do we got next?
We're going to move on to Añejo. So we're going to take the reposado that has spent that time in the bourbon barrels, and we're going to add more bourbon and more time to it. Nothing else, just time in the barrels, and that's what you'll taste here.
When you say more time and bourbon, like meaning like is there more?
There's not more bourbon. It's just more time in the same barrel,
which is going to extract more of the
exactly
like
more of that.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of people who don't like tequila but do like bourbon, and when they detect and appreciate the bourbonness in this, they typically come our way.
Thank you.
That's a big pour, but
what's Roger trying to do to me here?
So this is all made in the traditional way, and the moniker ultra premium, which is what all these marks, all these varieties are, is an industry standard that you have to adhere to. You have to do your process a certain way.
Okay.
You can't cut corners, or you can't call yourself that. So all these sort of things that I've been talking about, the mature agaves, the distillation, the fully purified water, the no additives at all those things are boxes you have to check to call yourself ultra premium.
Okay.
And it's just more time, more care, so you have a higher quality spirit. Anyway, this, you're going to start just basically, you're going to have the same, you're going to take baby steps from tequila into more bourbon land. This will be a little bit more woody, probably a tiny bit more sweet. I think, oddly, it has this, instead of being as viscous as this, it almost has a drier quality to it.
Okay.
Everything's subjective, and nobody gets it wrong. You either do or you don't like it. Like all these sort of arcane tasting notes and things. I mean, they're just guidelines. They're not rights and wrongs. So, subjectivity is key in the experience of whether you do or you don't like a spirit, or however you evaluate it. Anyway, this is one of my favorite. This is our añejo, which means aged.
Okay. Rested and aged.
Rested, aged. Yeah. This
Extra
is
aged.
essentially blanco, which is pure, or blanco literally means white, but that's tequila. And then this is tequila plus more time in wood.
Ooh, yeah. Definitely a lot more wood in there. Yeah.
You can tell, right?
Excellent. Wow, that is
You can
good.
even smell it early on.
Yeah.
And this had Arturo dancing because his lady's legs.
I saw that. Yeah, that's what I was checking for. I was going to make sure.
Las gorditas.
Yeah.
Just like these little fat legs he likes.
I've seen that before too in spirits, because is it tequila mainly that you're going to see that where it kind of sticks to the glass?
You find it in many spirits.
Okay.
If they're made in a quality way.
I think after like 4 or 5 drinks, that's when I notice. I'm like, whoa, I like it.
Happens a lot in good wines.
Yeah,
Good wines will do that too.
In beer too, it's they call it lacing, right? Where
Lacing?
it kind of like the it kind of sticks to the glass a little bit.
Cool.
And as you're drinking it, like you can see like kind of like the bubbles again, kind of sitting on the glass.
Exactly. And I was once upon a time more conversant in it, but there's something having to do with like the plant essences in it. I'm probably going to get this wrong. You can fact check me. Tannins are part of this.
Okay.
You know, you get the things that are planty, right?
Yeah.
They stay in somehow in the distilling process and come out in beers and wines and good tequilas. And that was a hallmark that we were looking for that I didn't know about. I got an education in making good tequila. I didn't drink tequila, but Arturo was my maestro, helping me.
He was your guide.
Learn. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was totally literally my spirit guide.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. All right, we got one more.
We do have
gotta
another one,
taste,
and
yeah.
and basically we're just going to journey another 9 months into this.
Okay.
So, 36 months. Yeah, this
That's a 36 month?
Yeah, this baby stays still
Wow.
and gets a lot.
For all you math people out there, that's 3 years.
Here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, there we go.
This is very impressive, man. Nice work with this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the time.
Yeah. And also,
We really enjoy our work. We enjoy, the labor. There is so much that goes into, as you know, making a video. Like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see that can really, like you said, burn you out or try you. But
yeah.
when we sit down with friends and fans and we actually sit there and enjoy this stuff together,
Yeah.
it makes all of it worthwhile.
Sure.
We might have to ask our impresaria, Elisa, if she feels the same, because she's like, 120 hours
She's
a
off
week.
here, yeah.
She's 120 hours a week going, yes.
Well, she works 120, so she doesn't have to work 40. Like
Exactly.
we said earlier,
That's
right?
pretty much it.
Well, and I'm starting to learn because I'm very early into this process of this entrepreneur journey, but it's surrounding yourself with the right people, right? You got the people that are into the spirits that know more than you do, right? Like, and
It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
To be an absolute beginner at any point, right? You'll learn, but like you'll find somebody who can challenge you and teach you. And if you listen, you probably learn.
For sure.
Yeah. It's great. It's a really
Cheers,
fun process.
man.
Yeah, check this out. This is almost, it's not meant to be, but it's not meant to be necessarily a finisher, but it's almost aperitif to me. Like at the end, man, it's just got so much perfect balance of tequila, wood, all these flavors.
really good,
The viscosities are awesome.
Like this is like, okay, guys, we're gonna take off here in a couple, in a half hour. Hey, before you guys leave, let's have one more drink.
Exactly.
Right. This is the one that, before the neighbors go home, you're gonna go sit by the fire and
This
really
is the
enjoy
one.
this one. Yeah. Dang, that's really good, man. Very impressive.
Thank you.
All of these very, very impressive, man. I think that I've had it before at some point. I've had your tequila, but not in this manner and not, presented by the man himself, which is a great experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, this is awesome, man. So at this point, like where can people, is this everywhere in the state? Like
it's not ubiquitous. It's actually, it's sort of, let's see. I like that it's a little bit rare.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's sort of a point of pride. It's not everywhere.
Yeah.
It would probably be better for our bottom line if it was everywhere, but we're mostly represented in Arizona, but other states as well.
Okay.
Colorado. We're working on Illinois. Shoot, I should probably ask Elise, but she had to step out.
She bailed. She's like, I'm leaving him up to him on this one.
Total Wine has been great to us.
Okay.
Like that's a major seller. There are online providers too, and I wish I could remember who they are. But they actually get them to your door. But our distributor here is, I think I can say it's Hensley, and they're Arizona heritage, right? And they are everywhere.
Yeah.
And little things like going to a bar, like this is Tempe Tavern, and they carry it. But if you go to a bar and ask for it, of course, if they don't have it, you can say, well, could you order it? And then the following week, it can be there.
Okay.
If you can find somebody who will order it. Because Hensley can get it there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it can be in your favorite bar next week if it's not already.
Yeah.
It is tough to find sometimes on the shelves, but we like to say it's worth the quest.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it is. It's
I don't
I'm
disagree
sort of
with
biased,
that, Roger.
Well,
Well, cheers to you guys. Cheers to Canción. Nice work with this. Now, coming up, as far as you guys do a lot of events too. You do a lot of really cool things. You're doing something in Tempe, or is it Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo's in Tucson at
Or
Club
Tucson.
Congress
Yeah.
on the plaza. Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to go have some fun on Cinco de Mayo.
2 days. 2 days, right?
Yeah, we're doing a Friday and a Saturday.
Yeah.
Please herald our approach. It's I love Club Congress. It's super cool.
Yeah.
My son actually works there. He's a bartender. He's going to be working one of the nights.
Ah, nice.
Yep. And he's going to be traveling this summer. So if he pours you a good drink, tip him big. His name's Rusty.
I like it, Rusty.
Rusty.
You should have him make a rusty drink, specialty.
A Rusty special. That'd be a one and done though. He's there's a guy who works there right now, John Tuck. I'm giving him a shout out. He's been a huge supporter of Canción. We're losing him to Memphis. He's gonna go follow his dreams of music.
Okay, nice.
Out there, which is really cool. Anyway, I want to thank John for all he's done and getting us in the iconic Hotel Congress. And he made up. He's the creator of what's the Paloma called again? Do you recall? Penasco Peacemaker Paloma or something like that. But the best Paloma in Arizona is made by John Tuck at Hotel Congress.
Really
with Canción.
nice.
Yeah, he's awesome.
What exact Paloma is?
Grapefruit.
Okay.
Yeah, so your
And it can
margarita's more lime. Your Paloma's grapefruit.
Gotcha. And, so tequila. You use tequila
Yes,
in a Paloma?
exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got Hotel Congress coming
Hotel
up.
Congress. What's after that?
Circus
Mexica's the big event. Wow.
What is that? That sounds really cool.
Circus Mexicus is our biggest concert. Funny enough, it's not even in the United States. And it's in Puerto Penasco or Rocky Point, which you probably, being from here, know where that is.
Yeah.
We started it in 99, I think, when PH and I were looking for ways to get out and play in interesting places and bring adventure to our fan base and ourselves. Back in the refreshments day, I always wanted to play in Puerto Penasco, Rocky Point. But the powers that be, i.e. record labels, they're like, we can't sell records down there. Booking agent, we can't book down there. All that. So that we ran into these obstacles. Like, yeah, but it's authentic. It's kind of where we come from. Once we broke free of that paradigm, I just went down there in the van and started knocking on doors and asked club owners if we could just do a show.
Yeah.
I don't want anything but no guarantee. Just let me bring my band and we'll put it out on this newly emerging thing called the internet.
Yeah.
So we did. I found a place called the Sunset Cantina, which had no stage, but a bold and creative young owner at the time said, I can't give you a stage, but I can give you the rooftop and some pallets and some extension cords. And I said, deal.
Even better.
Yeah.
Right?
And so we just we went down there with our equipment in our van and set up and drank a bunch of beers, and set up turned into sound check, turned into performance. So it was this epic long. We never stopped. Because we were getting all sorts of stuff wrong and blowing fuses.
Yeah.
And guys weren't showing up on time. Like our guys weren't showing up on time. But it became this super fun thing where not that many people showed up. I just got photos of it given to me last time I was down there. 50, 60 people.
Okay.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And so we did it again, and then we did it again, and then we did it again. Now we're at 25 years.
Same place.
In Puerto Penasco, but Sunset closed down.
Okay.
We now do it next to, we have our own little, own little cantina endeavor called Banditos. So it'll be right out back of Banditos. Yeah. So, and we'll have Reckless Kelly playing. They're going to retire from touring. Sad. That makes me sad, guys.
I just learned about these guys today. I'm very excited to check them out.
We got them for one of their final big shows.
Okay.
And they're seminal Red Dirt pioneering band. The idea of Red Dirt wouldn't exist without them and their endeavors. They're Cody Canada and The Departed, and his band previous to that, Cross Canadian Ragweed, and Reckless Kelly, and Mickey and the Motor Cars, and countless others. There wasn't even a label called Red Dirt. I don't mean label, I mean a moniker, a descriptor.
The genre or whatever, yeah.
Exactly. They all formed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, these guys they're not going to not appear anymore, but they're going to stop touring, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
Cody. Anyway, but we got them. They're going to come and co-headline with us. So
nice.
It's going to be a hoot.
So the spot is your guys' spot. It's owned by Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. Is that?
To split hairs, we don't own the property, but
Okay.
we lease it from a really kick-ass landlord.
Okay.
And right next door, we also lease the space for the concert grounds from another really kick-ass landlord.
Yeah. Nice.
Makes me a little nervous that Puerto Penasco is getting so successful now that any open space is becoming condos. So here's what I'm going to say. Just get down there now while it's still working.
Yeah.
Because we don't know once the condos go up, I don't know where the concert goes.
So the dates this year are June.
I wrote it down. 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
a big old adult spring break.
Big party.
Adult in quotes.
Adult.
Like it's tacos and tequila and rock and roll and really cool people.
Yeah.
Cantinas, and there's music everywhere. I wish I had a roster. We invite so many bands. There will be probably 25 artists playing
Okay.
over the course of 4 days.
People can
all
look on the
over
internet,
town.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Yeah.
over town. You buy a
Nice.
ticket and you're basically into everything.
Yeah.
It's a hoot.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time. Honestly.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, this has been great. Tequilas are great. Big fan of you, the music, everything, and you're just a cool dude, man. So
Gracias. Appreciate
yeah. Anything else you want to share?
What is this? This is 2023, and we're in April, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just got
I
off tour.
think so. Yeah.
What do we got? Yeah, come to Cinco de Mayo, Circus Mexicus. After that, the band's got a few more touring obligations. We're going to be heading to the Northeast. We're going to be heading to California, a bunch of other places. But
Okay.
right after that, we're going to start but polishing up new music. I wrote a lot of music during the shutdown kind of time, but I felt reticent about sharing it at the time.
Yeah.
That's another interview.
Sure.
But
We can have a whole series
We're gonna
if you
go
want.
woodshed. We're gonna go woodshed that stuff and put out
Yeah.
a new record. We haven't put one out since 2017.
Okay.
So we're gonna put one out either end of this year or early next.
Heck yeah,
So we're gonna get back in the shed and work it out.
Love it, man. Love it.
Thank you.
Dude, cheers, man. Cheers to you, my friend.
Gracias.
Appreciate it. You too, buddy.
Placer,
Elisa, thank you for setting us all up. And thank you, Tempe Tavern, for a great
Thanks,
venue.
Tempe Tavern.
Yeah. Why? Real quick. Why did we choose Tempe Tavern?
It's an amazing. It's a fixture. They do all the great live music. You can be an underdog band, get a show here. You can be a emergent or huge band, still get a great show here. I love Rob. He's the owner.
Yeah.
They've supported Canción since day one.
Yeah.
You've heard we're listening to Morrissey right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're just cool. They're
Yeah.
just kick-ass. Tempe Tavern's awesome.
It's a cool place. This
Yeah.
is this is a place that, at least for me in my experience, you don't see this very often in
Nope.
Arizona. This
These
is
are,
not a.
These are on. This is a rare bird.
Yeah.
And so come in and buy a drink and support this. And yeah, that back room right there is a wonderful place to see a show.
Oh yeah.
It's too dirty,
that's-
too crowded, too loud.
Yeah.
It's kick-ass.
I love it, man. Well, awesome. Thanks, Roger, and keep kicking ass, dude.
Gracias. Thank you.